Back to the Woman Troll to Experience Radio Show live, Facebook Radio on the Woman Troll to Facebook page, also Instagram Live of our 10 to 21. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a man here that I have known for about 14 years now. From Freedom Schools. He was at my first Patagonia session 7+ years ago. He was there when we decided to turn to the business 7 years ago, and now he's a minister, a father, husband, entrepreneur, founder of T Academy, and now another company now, Fitting Machine Company. He's an advocate for our youth. Mr. Sterling Baltimore, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, so before we get started with our conversation, earlier this year, we had a 7th birthday celebration where we actually honored people that helped pay the way to Planet Greatness the past 7 years. And we had our first day we had was January 11th, but the building was broken into that night before, so we had to push it back a week, and you couldn't make the event. And we were trying to make you. So, and I wanted to honor you. So I had this award for a long time. So I wanted to honor you for being a Matthew 18:20. That means a pillar, and they do that scripture for what you have done for me and my organization. Without you and Paige, I would not be where I'm at because of the growth and what I've done in the past 7+ years. I want to get praise to you now for what you have done.
Man.
So
I appreciate that.
I've been holding on to that for a long time.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Man. I appreciate you, and I know the community is thankful for all the things that you've done.
Yeah.
Schools that you work with,
Yeah.
A lot of those seeds we plant, sometimes you don't see how they grow, man.
Right.
But, the work that you've been doing these past couple of years, you can see the growth, man.
Yeah, the growth and elevation and just how God's work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you coming that night and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I was doing, but from a business standpoint, but now like you are married now, I'm about to get to that point. So it's kind of full circle. So I wanted to ask you a question since you have a daughter and you have a wife who's a champion herself. What was your perspective? Because you're a man, I don't know if you have a different perspective. What was your perspective on the Beyonce Taylor verdict on Wednesday?
Man, you know what? There was a lot of mixed feelings because I don't know if I can say that I was shocked.
Okay.
Just because you can see the way that the system has necessarily been just. Sometimes it's almost like being in a relationship. It's like you kind of preparing for the letdown. So it's like you don't want to be you don't want to get your hopes up high. Now I do think the work that's happened outside of the verdict in terms of the community, the momentum, I think that's gonna pay dividends years and years down the line in terms of everything from police to community relations, how they look at policing laws. So I do think that there's an impact that right now we can't necessarily see. But personally, I saw it. I wasn't shocked. I shared it with my wife.
How she felt? Was she had the same reaction, or she was just more shocked?
I don't think neither one of us was shocked.
Okay.
We were just like, I don't want to say it is what it is, but it's just kind of a reminder, there's still work that needs to be done. But I think it's one of the situations even though justice didn't come down, in terms of the police being prosecuted. I do think the work that happened around that is going to have an impact. You look at it. I don't want to compare apples to apples, but you look at Emmett Till, and
the verdict was the same exact day. It was like wow.
So you don't get the verdict that you want, but you look at the synergy that happened outside of that. That to this day that we can still even have this conversation. But and then I think for me too, the worldview that I hold as being a Christian is that I know that nothing is outside of the hands of God. So there's things that's happening now which we don't really understand the full scope of it.
Right.
that's where I have to hang my hat sometimes. You know, I'm just like, man, listen, none of this is outside of the hands of the Lord.
Right, absolutely. Sometimes I ask, I'm like, I told myself, like, when it happened, I know I had feeling well shocked, but I felt like it was going to be a difference based on the protests and based on the work we was doing, and that's something that, and they had some compassion, and you know, when I heard the verdict, it was like, it shocked me. It really shocked me, and like it just shocked me that I felt like that this was wrong, that people were prosecuted, but it wasn't. And then outrage, and then plus me growing up around black women and knowing that, you know, that they are neglected. I said in Malcolm X quote in the beginning of the show that he said that about 50 plus years ago. It's still right today. I'm like then he had the date. Then someone had a date, the same date, and would tell him like, "Wow, this is still the same place." Like, where does growth? Like, where's the? It's like, but it's not to pray for. That's time I ask God, you gotta explain this to me. Like, you gotta explain this to me. Sometimes, like, you gotta. So, like, I mentioned to the son, okay, what's going on? I think God sees everything, but this is like.
I think one of my perspectives is, you know, being a student of the Bible, it's like, to understand God and how He works, you know, a lot of things are instant, right? Mm-hmm. So you're able. What's one of the things I love about the Bible is like you get to look at people's stories and narratives, mm-hmm. you know, from a vantage point where you can see their entire life. You can see the decision. You can see what happened in the middle, and you can see the outcome,
right? And
how it happened years later. I think as a Christian, you know, sometimes it's like we got to zoom out and realize, like yes, this it's not the outcome that we wanted, mm-hmm. but trust and believe that, you know, there's, you know, God is still busy behind the scenes, so to speak. Things that's going to happen years down the line. I mean, there's some student in some class that got that verdict, and it's going to motivate them to do.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, mm-hmm.
You know, so and not to let them off the hook, but it's just like sometimes as a Christian, you know. The answer is like, man, I just gotta turn it over to the Lord.
Right, that's what my girlfriend told me. I was like, even though I was mad, I told her I was not okay. I was not okay, but she's like, she pretty respected me. I turned to the God. God had a final say, so I was like,
and that's not to say it's just like it just kind of is what it is.
Right,
it's just realizing that, you know, His sovereignty and understanding, you know, His plans are our plans, His thoughts are our thoughts.
Oh, totally different.
You know,
totally
and
understanding
different. Like, you know, just not understanding God in time and how, you know, things that we want to happen, you know, in this lifetime, you know, it's things that's going to be outside of what we can understand. So,
right,
you know, and that's why I got sometimes like to put it in the Lord's hands, man.
Yeah, you had to. Yes, you had to. That you do. So for the audience that's watching, can you tell us who is Sterling Baltimore?
Depends on who you ask, right? If you ask my wife, she's gonna tell you I'm Mr. Know-It-All. No, I'm joking. You know what's funny? I think that question is essential for how, you know, I live my life, mm-hmm. to put things in order, right, in terms of priority. Like, one, I'm a child of God.
Amen.
The second thing is I'm a husband.
Mm.
After that, I'm a dad, right? And then after that, I'll say, you know, a family person. When we go into, you know, an employee, an employer, you will kind of go down the list. And finding that order, you know, will help me keep things in place. You know, I love the scripture says, you know, seek first the kingdom of heaven, right, and His righteousness, and everything else will be added unto. So I always think about, you know, kind of like wine glasses. There's one at the top, two, then there's three, then there's four.
Yes.
So if I have myself aligned with God, me being a child of God first, all those other things, the second row, being a husband, being a father, mm-hmm. all the things will kind of flow in order. So you don't want to fill up the second row first, because then the top row not going to get filled.
Right, exactly.
So, who I am is first, man. I'm a child of God.
Yeah, amen. Amen. So your boy Mike Nelson said on here, so you say, what's up? Your boy Mike.
That's my guy, man.
Yes.
That's a good dude.
Yeah, we might go back to. I'm trying to get him on the show soon, because he's doing work too. So so y'all pretty much just call the same cloth, man.
I want to be like Mike when I grow up. Mike is the most systematic, disciplined
Yeah, so I'm trying to get, I'm trying to, get more elevated because that's my mind glass now. I'm a child of God, but now it's like I have Bobby a husband, so that would be it was like Patrick Wayne is second to now. It's got to go be down though. So I'm learning. So I'm learning the steps, man. I'm learning the steps to try to be.
It's a journey, man.
It is
because I think if you see life first in terms of like your relationship with God, it's gonna impact how you make all those other decisions.
Yeah, and then once God gives that purpose and that why, that will make it. Because I'll tell you all the stuff I've been through, the Patrick Witness stuff, like all the stuff happened since then. I think that when God told me to start a business, when you paid for that building at my church, now it's like I had to trust God because there was some times I really wanted to quit. Like I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with people anymore. But He told me kept the faith, and have that one person that reminds you, okay, to keep going. So that I had my mentee who's senior in college now. Mm-hmm. So she's going to be a senior, and she's senior now. She's about to graduate. So I'm like, that's why I keep it going for her because about that program, about Patrick Wayne, I met so many people. I went up so many doors, and guys led me to this Pat Bill. I never fought with rail show 7 years ago. I never fought that. Yeah. But all this was because of God. You know what I mean? Yeah. Plus, me and love our life during the pandemic. I mean, I ain't do no business for like 2 months. So I had no workshop for 2 months, and in the midst of that, I met my future wife. So the guy will shut everything down to get you to what he wants you to be, and then I'll show you how to add her to that part, and how to include her into the journey, plus things like that. So you say you do. Wow, she work with youth. So you work. I think you worked at YMCA. Was you the director before? The director, or you still are?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, so kind of give people a timeline. So I originally started working with youth back in our days at Congresso. I worked as an after school, just an after school teacher. That I moved up to a site coordinator, and and that's when I came into the Freedom School family.
Right.
Then after that, I transitioned to working over at a university here in Philly.
You pay, right? Yeah.
I was a director there for like 9 years, and that's kind of like that's when I helped start one of the programs over there, and it was a 21st century program. I did that for like 9 years. So then, in addition to that, I was working at the YMCA. I was coaching. It's funny. I had took that job just to save money for my wedding, and then after my wedding came and gone, I was like, "Hey man, I get paid to play basketball." But then while I was there, I got promoted, and I created some really good relationships. So I wound up being a coach, running a basketball league, and God has put me in situations where I've been able to build relationships. Now, being a business owner, I'm only working with children in the capacity of my church. Running the youth ministry, which I enjoy because it's one thing to teach in the space, to teach children, but then to have the ability to teach children about God, it's been really fulfilling for me. So. That's it's funny because you said Congresso. I worked at Congresso too. So I worked there for like 3+ years, and I did 4 summers and I did 3+ school years. So and then God told me to move to Sunrise in South Philly. So I've been site director for my second director now. So that was a great experience. I still connect with our people at Congresso now. So I still talk to them this day, like, hey, how's it going? I'm always trying to like. Congresso was a blessing to me.
Yeah, well, for me, yes, yeah.
And I would say this, for me, I haven't always been like a traditional student in the classroom. Like I wasn't the best student in the classroom, but the Lord put me in situations where I had jobs. I was working, learning, and earning at the same time. So those from Freedom School to Congresso to Freedom School to UPenn, those are jobs that helped shape me, got me to
but that's also Freedom School was a great experience, man. Like, I wish I had more time.
Listen, Freedom School is its own vibe, man. I feel like Freedom School is like its own fraternity and sorority. It's like if you were part of like that initial wave of like Freedom School, people went from like the national model to like the local Philly model, and then we had the high school JSL model, like. You can't even explain it to me like you really had to be a part of that experience. And I feel like
that national trip. I remember we went to Tennessee,
and that's when we first met when we was in Tennessee.
Yeah, and then what happened was I was with City here, so 2 other people worked with with Freedom Schools, they actually they have us get a flight. They got us a bus there, so they got us a bus to a Greyhound from Arkansas to Knoxville, a 9-hour ride, and then going there, the experience that my mom made was like totally like something that I still like. It was like moving, like it was like that's how I met Greg, because with Greg Corbin, you know. So it was like a totally different like experience, man.
It really is.
And I did a song with them, and it was just like. About literacy, and I didn't know 15 years ago I was doing literacy. I'm like, I was doing books like us. I was like, cool. Then later I came out of that, you know, that 15 years I'm doing more Office Cafe doing literacy. I'm like, for black authors. I'm like, what are black authors? I'm like, and like, so they see you playing.
Well, like, you know, the next one you have my wife is an author now, so she's dropped her first ebook.
Oh my God!
So she's doing some dope stuff.
All right, man, you do Office Cafe that shit.
Shout out to my wife, Angela Baltimore Style Agency.
Yeah, yes.
She got her ABCs styling, so it's
okay.
She's doing some dope stuff, man.
Yeah, so crush it, man. So what made you decide to get into T Academy?
So T Academy, originally when I was working with children, I created this thing called it was birthed out of the idea of the original Black Wall Street. And I created this little micro society within our after school program to teach kids about economics. So we created like this commerce system. You know, you do your homework, you come to the program, you get $1 or $2, right? After a period of time, our middle school students was kind of aging out of that model. So what I did was I took the entire gym and I turned the gym into a Black Wall Street. So kids own businesses within the program. Then they kind of aged out of that. They were like, oh, you know, we're kind of like tired of doing this. So then I went to the Wharton School of Business, and I had the students. I designed a T-shirt for the students with the students called "I Love Music." And when we came up with that, we started selling T-shirts. And then they kind of grew out of that. And then what happened was, I said, man, this I Love Music thing is dope. I said, let me come up with my own T-shirt brand, you know. And when I came up with my own T-shirt brand, someone asked me like, hey, can you make T-shirts for my school? And then it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll make some T-shirts for my school. But what happened was, I saw the amount of money I was making selling individual T-shirts, and then I saw the amount I was making when I did a shirt for an entire school. I said, let me try to do that. So then
we're both fat. And then one school, and man, 5 to like.
Yeah, man. And it's interesting. So it was like it became T Academy because I always wanted to have that connection back with schools. So majority, I would say about like 90% of my customers are either in the space of education and nonprofit. So we try to, you know, that academy side of it. We try to, you know, work with people that's working with people. And we've had students who were in my program that come and work for the program. I have students now that come up with their own apparel. They're entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, and I print their apparel for them, give them some business advice. So, you know, it's come full circle. But it wasn't just like, yo, I can make T-shirts. It was like, it was birthed out of this idea of teaching economics.
Right. So, that's wonderful. Miss MIZ/Cooper says that school loves working with you. So
Great.
I don't know who that is. So I don't know. Maybe so you might know.
Yeah. That's one. I think they got Deep Roots Charter School. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Cooper. You know people.
Oh, that's what's her name? What's it? Nicole. I think that's Nicole. Yeah. She knows both of us. You know. Yeah, man.
I know Nicole from church. We go back to, I'm gonna say 99 to the 2000s. Yo, it was we go back a minute, man.
Wow.
But
she's doing well too. She's blessed too, man. I'm proud of her, man. Like,
and that's the good thing about T Academy. Like I'm not in this space to get rich or anything like that.
Right.
We've been, you know, to have like mutually beneficial relationships. I do some work with a school called Building 21. I've been able to like come in and teach their students how to run their own business. Oh, so
you know Miss MacArthur.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm bad with names. If I see the face.
Yeah, Miss R. You know Miss G.
Probably.
Yeah, cause I've worked with them in the past 3 years. So
yeah, if I see their face, I recognize it. See, this is why I need my wife, and I can tap her and be like, yo, do I know this person?
yeah,
So,
that's me too. Like, yeah, I know that phrase. The names like, oh, yeah, but y'all go back, and y'all go way back. So I'm getting shout out to Nikki on them. I'm proud of you, what you're doing, what you're becoming. Proud of you because we go back too. So both of us, how God worked for all three of us has transformed, and we're not where we were some years ago. We definitely not where we were some years ago. So you say you're in ministry now. So how did you get into ministry? I know you was always trying to. How did you get into that platform? While doing T Academy, trying to launch that, and also trying. I think coaching at that time. How did you get all that?
Yeah. So before we even get there, keep it 100. Like I was in high school, and I'll go back to my parents. So I've always been in church.
Okay.
And then when I got to those high school years, I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior when I was in 11th grade. But then going into 12th grade, he was my, I would say this, he was my Savior, but not my Lord. And what I mean by that was that, that I accepted Christ as my Savior, right? But in terms of him being the Lord over my life, he wasn't that. So I never turned away from God from maybe an atheist point of view.
Okay.
It was more so I was about doing Sterling, and then it got to a point where it was just like, I'll never forget my wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time, she was like, well, I'm pregnant, and we had just separated, and I really had a I call it, the road to Damascus moment, where it's just like, I had to you gotta get your life together. And ever since then, there was this turn in my life towards God.
Yes.
And it was to know Him more so, personally and intellectually. Like being in freedom school, everything was really about learning, more like an Afrocentric, worldview, like knowing your people, knowing your history, knowing your culture. I knew more about that side than I knew about my biblical history. So when that happened, I was like, yo, I gotta get right with God.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the things that I was trying to do on my own could never kind of get to the tipping point of success. But then when I started putting, God first in my life, it was like things just opened up.
Right.
I became the director at Penn. So many things happened outside of that. I was able to get married and go to visit, but it was like I had to take Christ first. But then in terms of my journey, becoming a minister, I was at church one time and we were doing something for children. It was called Angel Tree, and Angel Tree was is a program. I don't know if it's still going or not, but we would adopt children whose parents were incarcerated. So one of the ladies at my church was like, "Hey, we don't have a speaker for this week," and I was like, I was always with kids, and she asked me to speak, so I was like, "All right, cool, I'll get up there and speak."
Okay.
And I got up and speak, and sure enough, the Holy Spirit just kind of ran through me. My pastor came back a few months later, and he offered a class of intro to preaching, and I was one of 3 ministers that come out of that class, and that's how it's happening, man.
Wow, God loves you, man. Because He just saved me, but not my Lord. That's wow. That's that's deep.
I mean, I think it's real because it's like you see people in their journeys. It's like some people sometimes they say they're spiritual things of that nature. It's like you. It's one thing. I back it up. I look at your relationship with God like being in a relationship with a person to a certain extent. It's like I can say that I love you, but if I don't spend time with you, that's true. I don't get to know you. It's hard for us to kind of grow together. And if you think about a relationship, it's just from us to God to Christ. It's more so about us, learning more about who God is, and then what do we learn about who He is and how He loves us. We'll become the best version of ourselves. The more I get closer to my wife, and the more that I know who she is, I know how I need to change to be a better version of myself for her. So I think there's some parallels there with growing in Christ. Yeah, man, you gotta get to the point where He's your Lord over everything.
That's right. I think what you just said kind of resonated with me in terms of I've accepted Christ when I was my senior year in college. So when I was home for student teaching, I started going to church, and then it wasn't my Lord until 2013. So, when I started having the greatness, and then God told me to start it, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then you see the impact, and you see the results of the kids coming back. I was like, okay, God, I was just doing what God told me to do. I wasn't like bragging, I was just doing what. And then when I got laid off from my job, Playworks, then someone told me, a mom told me, you need to turn into business. I'm like, I'm not thinking about business right now. I'm talking about getting a job.
Yeah.
So that night when y'all came, it was like, I got the job. It was like, okay, I'm going to do this business, but I know how to do it. So a week later, I interviewed for July College. Mm-hmm. So I actually applied for.
I remember you was working there.
Yeah, I interviewed with them, and then I felt. Then God told me, you leave this. I had a summer job because one of my coworkers at the time got me a summer job downtown on 12 days, 12 1 night at Boogie's daycare center. I liked it, but it wasn't me. I just felt like God was telling me I'm gonna leave. I know you leaving. So I remember I interviewed Gerard College at the time. They were going for a lot of changes and the shutting down the lesson enrollment, and so I got the job. So look, I'll take it because I'm gonna move out. So, and then last week, I remember God told me you're gonna leave the last Friday in August, and God told me, and then that Wednesday I got a call for Gerard College. They hired you. So I left that Friday. So I did Gerard College. Then I didn't have a job called months. I'm still going to church, still going to everything, I'm still going to church, being faithful to God, I had events at the church. Then the old buildings I went into, then I was like, it was like I couldn't do it anymore. I was just like, and then I felt like giving up. I really felt like giving up, and then after Progressive happened. I had a job almost a year. So I was doing basketball coach at Church Advocate. I was doing Unsung Heroes like once a month, bringing speakers, come talk to the kids, ask the kids about their journey to where they are. Then I was getting paid $3 every 2 weeks. So I was like, this ain't working. I had my unemployment ran out. So then somehow I talked to West. I had a job interview. I number miscarriage. I went down there. I found on Thursday. There at 6:30, I got there to the 39th Street there. Got there, interviewed, passion. They hired me on the spot. So I was part time for 3+ years. I was senior monitor, and pretty much I had a lot of ideas. I brought people in to talk to the kids because I felt like I could be a group leader. I felt like I could do senior monitor and do workshops once in a while, but not every day. That was my niche. I thought I would do that. Then my social trial told me you need probably other jobs. I was like, what are you talking about? I like this. Like I thought I want to grow up, be a tight coordinator. Then things started happening. I applied. I went through Indeed. People was like, I want to interview you. I was like, okay. So then God has been really, really helpful. I've been praying more. I've been reading my word more in this pandemic. I don't read my word every day, but now I've been reading it more. I got this daily Bible app now I read every day. So so it's been really God's been reading some journey. It's really a journey, and also Nikki was doing my life too because she helped me without needing to change. She helped me without needing to change. She helped me. So we had fallen out, and I actually went to therapy because of what I did. So she inspired me to change for the better. Yeah. So hopefully I get on the show to tell her that in person, So but I want you to ask question. She has a question for you. She has a question. I know she's still in, but she said, what advice can you give students who are looking to be entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I would say looking to be an entrepreneur, you need to learn a little bit about a lot, right? And I think sometimes when you go to school tends to, put you in the direction like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of times, like you'll take courses and they'll kind of like funnel you into that path. Being an entrepreneur, most successful entrepreneurs aren't really like top A students. They're the kids sometimes. They have a lot of different skills that sometimes don't show up in the coursework. So I would say too, learn one. So one, learn a little bit about a lot, and the second thing is have drive and passion. If you ever want to start a business, unless you're a serial entrepreneur, try to figure out what would you do that no one has to tell you to do it?
Mm.
So, sometimes people chase money. I see people all the time like, yo, Sterling, I got this idea. I want to sell t-shirts, da 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 da. And I'm like, that's cool. But it's like, well, why don't you do this? Because I see you doing this all the other time. Like, you're good at doing this. You've consistently been good at doing this. See how you can monetize that. So I think that's the thing with being an entrepreneur too. Is it's like, there's going to be some dark days. And it's like, you have to be able to get up and do it. And no one has to tell you to do it. And, a lot of times that can be your passion. I think the third thing is, realistically, you have to study finance. And I'm not even just talking about like just knowing, of course doing your books and stuff like that, but more so like investing your money, right? So one of the things that come in is like, oh, I made $1,000 this month, so what do I do with this $1,000? You have to think long term about your money, because your business may not last forever. Like I don't, 10 years from now, not even 10 years, 2 years from now, Amazon can come in and take over the t-shirt printing game. Who knows? But the money that I make from that, I want to use it and to put it into other investment vehicles. So, and I think that sometimes it doesn't get talked about a lot. It's like, yo, you make your money, then it's like, where does that money need to go? So again, just to kind of recap, it'd be one, learn a little bit about a lot, two, do something that you're passionate about, and three, once you make that money, figure out where it needs to go. Because your money needs to make money for you while you're sleeping. So those are the things, but and just kind of retract a little bit. Do business in something that you're passionate about.
Right.
Like if you're really good at cooking and you love to cook and you're passionate about that and you want to do that full time as an entrepreneur, also see what your strengths and weaknesses are. Like, hey, I'm great at cooking. Maybe I need to partner with somebody that's great at business.
Marketing.
Would be a business, and then I bring those, and y'all two become partners, and you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now you are investing in vending machines. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have some partners. We started a company called Snack Run Vending. Right now at this phase, we are a traditional vending machine. We're looking to expand into doing like more kiosks, and we just see that the world is shifting, man. I seen this post on Instagram, and it was a picture of a news it was a news guy. He was in a helicopter and he had a camera, and then right next to it was a picture of a drone with a camera, and they said that this one machine took away 2 jobs, which was the camera guy and the helicopter, because the drone could do that one thing.
Oh, yeah.
So in terms of thinking about kiosks and vending, I think we're going to get to a point where there's going to be a lot of more like self-service. So for us getting in at a time where we can offer traditional like vending, but we're going to get into the kiosks. Some of the things we're thinking about, and they're not revolutionary, but something like hair care and beauty products, getting into like having selling PPE equipment. So we look at it from the standpoint that there's going to be certain demographics where things being self-served, it makes a lot of sense. And another part too, just from a business standpoint, for us is I want an income that's a little bit more passive. It's very as an entrepreneur, having a t-shirt company takes a lot to produce t-shirts a lot of
That's
time.
true. Yeah, that's true.
But then having an additional source of income through the vending machine, I can have more traditional set of workers doing that, and then also invest in the stock market. So just kind of diversifying, what I have.
So where y'all have an idea where you're gonna place the vending machines?
Yeah, we have some site agreements already in place. So we have a couple locations up and running, and then we're looking to expand. We really want to work with schools, kind of get back to my background,
right?
And trying to figure out how to offer some things different. We're in conversations with some folks to actually have some students man and operate the vending machines at the school. So I can't really get away from kids, and I don't want to. So we're thinking about like how is it? It's more like project-based learning. Just to kind of jump into I'll put my education head on. But figuring out a way that we can work with schools where we can have maybe a group of entrepreneurs actually maintain the vending machine, and then we would use some of the earnings to either give to the school, give
back to the school. Yup.
Well, I'm gonna get on my soapbox. I like giving back to the school, but I also think in terms of where we are as a community, there needs to be some more money sold in directly to the students, right, so that once they come out of college or whatever they want to do, they have some seed money in place that they can begin investing. So we're looking at a way that we can do school and student. We can support both.
Right, and plus, I mean, really good when the kids come back the hybrid model. They might do a hybrid in November, so I'm definitely want to learn about that too, because I'm trying to build that, so like an income, because I can't see myself being because I want to have more income. I want to bless more students more. I want to hire entrepreneurs. I want to hire people. I want to expand this thing practically, expand different schools, because so many schools are in need. If we get back to that hybrid or back to normalcy, you know what I mean? And where the kids in our school, we can do workshops, we can have entrepreneurs be there, set up place, give them jobs tonight. Yeah. So I'm definitely talking about outside of this. An idea came up from Tony, who's an entrepreneur herself. She said possibly a storefront where you can swipe your ID to get in, and there are various vending machines in one place. So
yeah, I think that's a really good idea, and I think we need to. I think also to go along with that, I think we're at like a tipping point, or I shouldn't say tipping point. Like we're at a phase in our country where is that the world has shifted. I was reading an article this morning about New York, and the problem that they're running into is that because people have gone to working home or virtually, the real estate market, commercial real estate, the demand is not going to be as high. So I think we're in a place right now, like if you're alert and you're paying attention, we can kind of get in front of some things where we can have that next wave of entrepreneurs and wealth, millionaires and wealthy people coming out of the minority community, and this is the opportunity in which we could really do that. So we just got to pay attention and be ready.
Exactly. So this is something too that was good. The stock market too. So that's what I'm trying to learn that too. So I see having an account, but I'm trying to figure out. I want to invest in more stuff like that, positive, right? Or something that's positive but not as positive. I'm trying more than that because I'm gonna start investing. Trying to learn. I wish you had that at school. Kind of like, hey, oh my God.
Yeah, what's funny? Back when I was working in schools, I was the only one. Not the only one, but I was like, because I was a site director, I could kind of come up with what I wanted to come up with, and we taught the kids about the stock market and investing, and a lot of students that I see from time to time, they let me know like that. They're thankful for that, but I think in terms of I think we have to think. I heard this guy say that our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation, in terms of their civil rights, they were fighting to be able to sit at the restaurant counter.
Right.
Our generation is trying to own the restaurant. And I think that's just a natural simulation where it's like, okay, we thank our ancestors for the path that they put out there. I talked to my dad. I'm like, yo, Pop, thank you for putting me in private school. And now the thing that I learned about from private school, I can pass on to my kid who's in private school, who now is in the process of, he has his own investment accounts. So taking what my dad put in place and what I've done, and now me passing that forward to my son. Right. I think we got to think in terms of that, in terms of the community. Like, we got to think more in terms of from the economic, and not to pit anything one over the other in terms of spiritual, but definitely thinking about how it is we can control, our economics moving forward. Because when I worked in programs, it always bothered me that, and I think anybody who works in a nonprofit knows this. It's like once you come to that time of the year where it's about compliance and making sure that you have everything in place, you keep those grants going. Yeah. And it's like if that grant goes away, it's just like it's not just a program going away. It's lives. There's people with employment. And I was like, man, I just wish if I just had money, I could just seed money into this. And a lot of time that funding is coming from the government, which we're thankful for. But if you think about it, if you have a community of people that have wealth and that have means, I mean, that could be money that can be sown right into those programs in the community. So you're not so heavily, weighted on what other people can do, for that school or that program. So I think we got to think about ownership and, creating wealth.
And creating wealth, and that's why I'm planning next year. So it's sort of like still more stuff and talking about investing, and also talking about passive income, because in the day, like, you gotta continue that income money because the job might cut you off the next day,
Man,
so.
listen,
Like,
I'm employed. I don't want to disclose I work for full time, but I love my job. I'm blessed to have a very, very good job. Going to work every day, I don't have the same, worry as if this job were to not be here. Because I have two other businesses that I own, and I think that's powerful in terms of being able to control, your destiny in the sense that you're not locked into just saying like this job. I think that the days of having one job for 30, 40, 50 years, I think those days are gone.
Yeah, so that's a blessing, so. So where can we find you? Give information because a lot of information, man. Helpful.
So I think if you just you can find me on Facebook, just under Sterling Baltimore. On Instagram, my company T Academy, TEE_Academy. Our website is TEE-academy.com. You can find us on there as well. We would love you guys to place an order, and that's where you can find me at, man. Just hit me up. I'm accessible.
Yes. Well, Sterling. Also, I want to thank the audience who staying along with us. I know it's a little longer than expected today, but these conversations we had today are very needed, essential for us to grow, to move forward. And again, I want to thank Sterling for being part of the Panic Raiders journey from 7 years ago. He's really been instrumental in my journey and my growth as a man, and so spiritually, business-wise now. So, thank you for your support, your commitment, your loyalty. It's hard. It's hard, but just your support has really been surreal to me going forward. I appreciate you, and I thank God for you.
Appreciate you, and we don't give people their flowers. I appreciate you, and I think the community at large. We need more Levons. That are driven. So brother, God bless you.
God bless you too, man. So thank you for joining us. I'm Brian. Thank you for joining us. I know everybody cut out the show, but you can watch the replay on our pages because we're going to be some knowledge pouring in. We got some work to do. We're going to do. I know it's about 2 o'clock. I don't know what time, but we're out of time. So, but we're going to let y'all go. Don't you enjoy what you're saying. And keep God first. Pray, read your word, meditate. Think about what your next plans are going to be. We got a great show next Saturday. We'll let you know what time we're going to be. Katrina Mack, who is a Christian comedian and author as well. So she's one of the hot comedians right now in Delaware, Philly, Swansea area. So she'll be on the show next week. Enjoy your rest of Saturday. If you're off on Monday, enjoy your off day off Monday. So be safe and God bless.